and we got death penalty sanctions in the first trial. As I think back on my time in business, develop a relationship with an attorney before you need an attorney. You don't have to be a jerk to be forceful, to be powerful, to stand up for what's right. Are you really trying to tell me that on a $400,000 judgment, I'm supposed to approve this $0 supersedious?
Hey there, I'm Colby and welcome to Hold My Briefcase, the legal lowdown for everyday people. You know what? The legal world is designed to confuse you. All that fine print, those sneaky loopholes, and contracts written like they're trying to hide something. Well, I'm here to change that. This is your no BS guide to protecting yourself in a world full of legal landmines. We're talking real stories, practical advice, and the insider knowledge you need to spot the tricks before they bite you. No lawyers speak, no boring lectures, just the tools to help you negotiate better, handle claims like a pro, and never get caught off guard again. Today's guest, he's a former journalist and now an attorney running his own law firm with a clear mission to be the lawyer he wishes he could have found and afforded during some of life's tougher moments. Mark, you've had a winding path: journalism, real estate, the Navy. How did that all lead to law?
So I enlisted when I was in college in 1986. So now I was a naval reservist. So I went to regular boot camp in Orlando, and then I went to technical school in Mississippi for the Seabees, the construction. So I was a reservist though, and that just means 2 weeks a year, 1 weekend a month. And then the first Gulf War happened, and there was a little more anxiety at that point. So while I was doing that, I was in college at Baylor University, and I started my career at Northwestern Mutual as an intern and stayed with them for about 25 years. I help people with their insurance and investments, people in small businesses and doctors. And that's when I had one of my good experiences with lawyers. A lot of the estate planning attorneys were great, helping our clients.
You say estate planning, what does that mean?
Well, from a insurance person standpoint, it's helping people find the right lawyer to do the estate plans. And from the insurance person standpoint, helping to fund whatever the lawyer may have created to help them.
Yeah, and the estate is that gob of money or land and debt that needs to be taken care of after somebody passes, right?
But I've also learned, Colby, through my own parents and through taking elder law in law school, estate planning also means how do I avoid paying taxes? So a lot of people may be fairly well off until the last few years of their lives, and they need help in nursing homes or long-term care, and they can't afford it. Well, one really cool thing you can do is set up a transfer on death deed, and that just says, upon my death, this person or these people will get my homestead or my investment property. But it avoids probate. Let's say mom is now widowed. She's got a $400,000 house, and she has enough investments to live on for the rest of her life until she needs to go into long-term care. So instead of living on $1,000 or $2,000 a month in retirement, she may now have to spend $6,000 to $10,000 a month. And she's got this nice house with value, but not a lot of cash. So Medicaid will kick in and will pay that long-term care. That $100,000 bill is free until you die. The federal government goes, oh, wait a minute, we have a $100,000 claim on your house within this tight deadline.
And so the deed this always confuses me, is the piece of paper that indicates who owns it. But this kind of deed is a special one that you sign and execute, and then the county of the area of the place where the residence is, you file that at that county, and then when something happens, you automatically get the people that you want automatically get the house.
Today, you sell your house to somebody and you file a deed, and now they own the house. You're doing the same thing, except you're saying, little asterisk, nothing's going to happen until I die, and then it'll be as if, like today, I sold my house. In the time I pass away, I can do whatever I want and change my mind and do anything. We can do it, the same week, turn it around the same week if somebody calls us and wants to have us help them with that.
You were talking about transfer on death accounts too, and truth is you don't even need an attorney to be able to make that, right?
When you go to your bank and you set up an account, I think you should always have a transfer on death or payable on death, I think is what the bank might call it. It automatically goes to whoever I designate as my beneficiary.
And is it true that that also escapes the Medicaid?
I believe it would, because it's not going through the probate process.
You were mentioning on your website that you wanted to be the attorney you had difficulty finding and affording. Can you elaborate on that motivation?
I had a surprise unrequested divorce in 2009. So I had that, and people may remember there was this little thing with the economy in 2009. So this surprise unrequested divorce happened during the worst economy of our lives. All of that was just the perfect storm. And I can still remember this one attorney that was litigating my case for me, which I had very few of those. And I said, I'm looking over his shoulder at the code, the statutes on real estate. And I said, why are you looking in residential real estate? He was telling me all the things I couldn't do. I'm like, I can do that. He was charging me this great fee, and I knew more than he did. So I discovered a man named Brian Garner.
Brian Garner is the legal writing guru.
I'm a journalism major, and I did some journalism work, but I always hated reading legal writing because it would put me to sleep. And he's the first attorney that I ever discovered that thought like me. Why can't lawyers just speak in English and write in English?
They also taught us, exactly what you were just saying. We got to delegalize the language.
Yeah, when I had my own buildings in downtown McKinney, I took a lease that some attorney drafted, and I rewrote it in English.
I love it. I love it.
Every time I had a conflict where somebody was confused, I'd go back and I'd modify the lease so it would be more clear. It would be clearer and less confusing because it just made my life easier.
In your practice, what kind of cases do you handle most often, Mark?
It's funny. I actually like all the areas that I work in. I do commercial litigation, which is a business suing a business. We agree to sell you 1 million widgets for $300 million, and you only paid $240 million. So there's a $60 million dispute. So the plaintiff would argue. Then there's bankruptcy, where if you can't pay your bills, the bankruptcy rules allow you sometimes to discharge those debts. The third area is probate, which is basically when a person dies, it's to clean up the estate and distribute the assets and pay the bills, and life goes on for the living. Fourth area is family law. I don't mind representing giants, but I also like representing just everyday people.
How do you help clients feel less overwhelmed?
Yes, I certainly try to do that. Some attorneys I've talked to, one in particular, was telling me when he practiced law, he only worked with businesses because he couldn't stand the emotional of dealing with individuals.
Now, without naming names, is there a case that stands out for you, Mark?
I had my first jury trial in Collin County earlier this year. That was a case where I represented a commercial property owner suing a commercial tenant who, the subtenant actually of that tenant, painted the interior of the building Barney purple polka dots, among other things, to this office building. And we got death penalty sanctions in the first trial. That means the judge didn't like the fact that the judge thought that my client didn't do discovery properly. The judge had no intention of having a jury trial that day. So much fun because one of the defendants up on the witness stand, and I said, who is this other company that you have? That was created by my asset protection attorney during the beginning of this lawsuit.
Is that a fraudulent transfer?
Heck yes, it is.
Did you get your attorney fees awarded?
Yeah.
That's great. So for those of you at home, certain litigation allows you to recover your attorney fees. What's one legal problem people come to you with that could have been avoided with a little preventative action?
As I think back on my time in business, develop a relationship with an attorney before you need an attorney.
I think that's a great advice, that
Thank you.
a little bit of prevention, right?
If you get sued, you only have roughly 3 weeks to find an attorney. Competent attorneys are not always available for the next month. But had you had a working relationship with an attorney, then either I can help you if I'm that attorney or whoever it is, or I know other attorneys that can help you.
Now, Mark, your firm's motto is no yelling, no jerks. What inspired that, and how does it show up in your day-to-day?
I have worked with or for people that would literally yell down the halls in the law firm. And I don't mean like raising their voice, excited utterance. I mean, Mark, get in here! 6 offices down the hall. And I thought, that is not the way I want to live my life or practice. It's just to treat people with respect. You don't have to be a jerk to be forceful, to be powerful, to stand up for what's right. I had a judge say to me when I filed a $0 supersedious for one of my clients, and my client was broke. And so based on the law, I believe $0 was appropriate. And so the judge looked at me, he's like, Mr. Yablon, are you really trying to tell me that on a $400,000 judgment, I'm supposed to approve this $0 supersedious? Yes, Your Honor. That's exactly what I'm saying, except I'm not asking you to approve it because it's already approved under the law. And he's like, all right.
What's been the biggest challenge as a lawyer entrepreneur?
Would be management, recruiting, hiring, training, retaining staff, and cash flow.
Do you think that more lawyers should think like business owners, or is it not for everyone?
I'll give you an example. In looking to hire, I want to build up my team to about a dozen attorneys. We were interviewing a Yale graduate, and she couldn't understand why she couldn't come work for me and make 100% of all of her billables and collectibles. And I thought, man, you have no idea how much money and time goes into running a law practice.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because you're exactly right. You know, when you start your own law firm, the only thing I knew was how to be a great lawyer. I didn't understand all the business area. Are you ready for it? Lightning round.
Ready. Let's go.
Fun, fast paced. Most unexpected legal issue you've handled.
I had a divorce case where the judge awarded $1 million trust fund to my client. Problem is, he didn't own the trust fund to get it. His wife didn't own it. The community didn't own it. His grandmother set up this irrevocable trust 40, 50 years ago. So for people that don't understand, if I'm a beneficiary of a trust, it's creditor proof because I don't control it. I don't own it.
Yeah.
And she awarded it to my client, which sounds good, except she then ordered him to pay over $600,000 in cash on this $1 million thing to his ex-wife. And by the way, it was only a $500,000 trust because the
debt
company hired a management company and both had standards. So the numbers were a little bit off and said they were both separate assets when they were the same asset. The court awarded more assets than the community estate even had to the wife. And
oh my God.
Is a negative, and we're on appeal, so we'll see how that goes.
All right. If your career had a soundtrack, what song would play when you walked into court?
God Bless the USA by Lee Greenwood. It's just a wonderful song by Lee Greenwood.
What's one part of the legal system you'd love to fix in the next 5 years?
Here's a simple one. I'd like court administrators to answer the telephone. Some of them do, and some of them even put on their email, don't call us. I got one more, Zoom video calls. You know, COVID, we all learned that you can do things on Zoom.
Mark, before we go, anything you'd like to add?
I am a different type of lawyer. I was a business lawyer for 25 years before I went to law school, and I think differently. I think too many attorneys that I interacted with either were too busy looking at their watch or not paying attention or not even comprehending what I'm talking about because all they knew was the law. They didn't understand the reality and the pain that I was in, and they did not know what the word empathy was.
Anything else, Mark?
Well, if anybody's curious, they could go to my website, which is www.yablonlaw.com.
People go check it out. Mark, I want to thank you for sharing your story and your clarity. It's clear that you bring a deep sense of purpose to your work. That wraps up today's episode on Hold My Briefcase. Look, knowledge is the best defense in this crazy legal world, and I hope today's episode gave you something you can actually use, whether you're dealing with a contract, an insurance claim, or want to be prepared for whatever life throws at you. You've got this. Remember, the takeaway for today is go fill out those beneficiary forms for any accounts you may have. If this helps you out, share it with someone else who needs to hear it. Until next time, keep that briefcase close. You're going to need it. Thank you very much for tuning in.